to fix sing a football fight song. Our first president, George Washington, was an Army guy, but our future second president, having been dispatched across the North Atlantic in the winter to serve as an ambassador to France, came under attack by a British vessel, took on water. He and his son, the future president, John Quincy Adams, took turns manning the manual bilge pumps halfway across the Atlantic. Within an hour of docking in France, the ship sunk. Ever since then, he was a strong proponent of a strong Navy. We'll be singing the Navy song today. Watch the lyrics. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college shores, we sail at break of day. Our last night on shore, bring to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wish you a happy going home. Blue of the 70s, cold of sunshine. Where these our colors be till all of time be done. Our errand shore return, Eastern home. Paper service true with honor on the roll. Let's remember those serving us in the armed forces as we reaffirm our pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a full schedule. We're going to do a call 2500. If you are a guest, please stand with your guest Rotary so you can acknowledge. And we have visiting Rotarians as well, so if you please stand so we can acknowledge you with a high Rotary. Thank you and come visit us again.
Thank you, Tony. Our Rotary sponsors this week are the three bankers, Monty Curry, Gordon Greer, and Bill Miller with Bank First, and Elaine Moore-Jones and Christopher Teal with Moore Funeral Home. We encourage you to do business with our fellow Rotarians. Please join me in thanking our sponsors and all our volunteers today. Club announcements. Next week we have the Oklahoma City Rotary Club here. Please join us at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for a private tour of the new Tulsa Arts and Humanities Hardesty Arts Center in the Brady Arts District. Please sign up in the lobby after the meeting to help host the Oklahoma City Club Rotarians. We'll be meeting at the Hardesty Arts Center at 10 o'clock. And for more information, please contact our social events chair, Melissa Clark. We have an MSNI workday coming up Saturday, March the 30th from 8 in the morning until noon to help sort medical supplies. This is a great family volunteer service opportunity, and students can earn volunteer service points, so please contact Judge David Peterson if you can help. Our annual back to school meeting at Celia Clinton Elementary will be held on April 3rd at Celia Clinton Elementary School. Sign-up sheets are on your table. Please sign up and let us know how many are attending so we can order enough boxed lunches. Also, our Partners in Education Committee is going to have a wish list for the students. So you can sign up, select some school supplies to bring to the meeting on April 3rd. For information, you can contact our committee chair, Mark Short. We had 3 committee meetings today: Crescendo Awards 231, IVA Awards 232, Rotary Cares 233. We have another big IVA Awards announcement. Committee Chair Greg Katz, please come forward. I've got to be honest with you, public speaking is not my passion, so I'm here today for you. And today is a special day for me. 17 years ago this month is when I joined Rotary, and today is going to be, and already is, one of the most memorable days. Because we do have, using Ed's word, I was going to use huge, but Ed says gargantuan announcement to make regarding our 20th anniversary, IVA Award. But first, I'm going to ask you a small favor. Bear with me a minute. I want you to close your eyes for a minute. I'll take you down a little imaginary trail. Close your eyes. I should be the only one here with my eyes open. That way I can read. Imagine you're a professional athlete. You're 6'2", 225 pounds of muscle. You've got world-class speed, and you've got special God-given gifts. But you've got gifts that you work hard to fine-tune, train, and polish. Now, knowing you are this special athlete, you're in the locker room with your teammates. Your teammates who have also made special sacrifices on and off the field. They work hard, and you respect each and every one of your teammates. You sacrifice for them, and they for you. And you know that they love the team as much as you do, and they love what the team stands for, and they love the mission of the team. Bear with me one more minute now. Now you're in the locker room before the game, and it is the biggest game of your life. Could be your Super Bowl, maybe the World Series, National Championship, and you're with your teammates and you can feel their energy. Now we're all on the same team. We're not Cowboys, we're not Sooners, we're not Jayhawks, we're not Golden Hurricanes or Golden Eagles, Razorbacks or even Baylor Bears. We are all Rotarians. Today, we're not members of one committee or another committee. We are all Rotary IVA-tarians. And we all have the same goal. We want to win. With the same goal, we want to fill the stands. We have the same goal for our team to win by contributing to the single largest contributor to our foundation. Now consider sacrificing for your Rotary IVA-tarians teammates. Consider buying a ticket and being on a winning platform with your teammates because it's the showcase for our club. Thanks for bearing with me. Now I'm going to introduce you to the real field general. He is the real leader in the locker room and on the field. I've known Steve Davis for 13 years, and many of you know Steve. He played for the Sooners from 72 to 76. His record as a starting quarterback is 32-1-1. And he reminded me at the table that his record for number of wins was broken this year by Larry Jones. He has 2 national champions, 74 and 75. He's been a color commentator for CBS Sports. And today, he's very active in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Professionally, Steve is just like he is on the field. He is the ultimate professional because I work with Steve. He is a leader, a visionary, and I can't think of anybody I'd rather have make this announcement because I'm honored to introduce Steve Davis.
One thing about the 4-way test that you guys didn't pass, you can't keep a secret. I want to take a point of departure just for a second before I introduce the obvious. Too often I think we take for granted things that become a part of our fabric of our community, things that matter, things that make a difference. And since 1915, your club has made an incredible impression upon our city. And so often you bring diverse voices, people with passion, with ideas, with challenges, with needs, and year after year, meeting after meeting, you have sat there and you have supported making Tulsa a better place, making our state better. And as a citizen of Tulsa since 1976, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a voice that's positive, that's solid, that's consistent, that makes a difference, that makes people feel better about doing good. And I really do, as a Tulsan, say thank you very much. Okay, it's Adrian Peterson. Touch on a few things. I think there's two wonderful facets about Adrian Peterson, about every one of us, but it's the personality of a player and then the individual, the man. And I want to touch on the statistical part just real briefly, because I think Adrian will be the first one to tell you that really, over the course of life, won't matter. But I tell you what, you've made an incredible choice in making him your male athlete. Adrian Peterson holds the Minnesota Vikings career rushing touchdown records, and most of all the records of the franchise, 12 in total. He was a first-round draft pick in 2007. In his first year, he set the NFL single-game rushing record for the league. He's the first Vikings running back to lead the NFL in rushing. In 6 NFL seasons, he's averaged 1,475 yards per season. His high water mark was 2012. After recovering from a major knee surgery, he rushed for 2,097 yards. That total was the second highest ever in the NFL, only to Eric Dickerson. In 2012, he was the MVP of the NFL. He's been a 3-time first-team All-Pro player, Offensive Player of the Year, and as named by the Associated Press. He has been a consistent 4-time Pro Bowl player, and he was an MVP in his rookie season. He was a highly prized recruit from Palestine, Texas, to the University of Oklahoma. He made an immediate impact when he arrived in Norman. He was a 3-time All-Big 12 first-team honoree, the 2004 Heisman Trophy runner-up. Matt Leinart won it that year, the quarterback from Southern Cal. He was an AP first-team All-American and the first true freshman at OU to earn that honor. He set the school record with 1,925 yards as a freshman. In that year, his freshman year, 9 straight games, he rushed for over 100 yards. He broke Roy Dane, I like this one, Roy Dane's NCAA freshman record and ranked 3rd in OU history with 4,045 yards and only 2nd to Joe Washington and Billy Sims at Oklahoma. As an analyst of college football, let me tell you something. That guy splattered people. He made an impression that is unlike any impression made in college football, and in my opinion, no player since Bo Jackson was anywhere close to what Adrian Peterson was. He smashed and assaulted defenders, and he caused many a defensive coordinator's nightmares to become true. He was a terrific player, a teammate, and a person. But I think what's going to impress you and why you need to buy tickets and go to the awards this year is the fact of the person that he is. He's already an All-Pro. I think Adrian shines with amazing ability on the field, but what he is as a person makes the difference. In 2008, he started the All Day Foundation, a nonprofit organization that raises awareness and funds for the community outreach programs aimed towards at-risk children. He works with the foundation, and the motto is giving back every day, all day, which is basically the nickname. The program focuses on 4 key areas: sportsmanship and leadership, youth education and enrichment, hunger, and OU initiatives. During the off seasons of 2010 and 2011, Adrian went to Africa and mission trips and worked with Starkey Hearing on being able to provide hearing aids for kids and adults. In 2012, he proved the importance of what it is to give back. Adrian Peterson pledged $1 million to the University of Oklahoma's athletic department. They established a facility in the new Headington Hall, that will be also establish a scholarship in his name. The gift is the single largest gift ever given by a former football player at the University of Oklahoma. The team, out of respect, and Bob Stoops, out of respect for him, created the team room. The team meeting room has now been changed to the Adrian Peterson team meeting room. Said David Boren, President Boren, I not only appreciate the generosity, but also the example he's setting by others by giving back to the program in which he is an outstanding participant. He is helping us to assure that OU's excellence and athletics tradition continues. I think in naming him your Henry P. Iva Citizen Athlete Award male winner, you have chosen so wisely. And I urge you to be able to buy tickets and be a part of that. To give you a little bit more of a perspective on Adrian, look at the video. Picked a true winner. You have done wisely, you guys. I congratulate you. Buy tickets. They've got a table outside. That's about all the promotion I'm going to do right now. But thank you very much, and congratulations to Adrian Peterson. Thank you, CJ. Past President Ed, you're right. That is gargantuan. Congratulations to the ICA committee. We have 2 new members to present. Jerry Barrientos and Matt Davis, please come forward with Kenny Ward and Darren Walker.
Can you imagine following that? But I think we can come close. Let me tell you about our new member that's coming in. Darren Walkup is Vice President of Commerce Bank. His classification will be banking commercial. He's in that rare, lucky category of being in a home full of women and him. His wife Meredith and 3 daughters, Madison, Caroline, and Olivia. He is involved with the Tulsa Metro Chamber, United Way, Tulsa Historical Society, and Junior Achievement. So let me give you an example of why this guy is the kind of guy that we like to have in Rotary. I had a meeting scheduled with him a few weeks ago. It was one of those days that we had a big snowstorm out west in Oklahoma. And he had to call and cancel that meeting. And I said, oh, what's the problem? And he said, I have a customer of mine who's in Enid, and the snow has killed their electricity, so they have no water, because their water is pressured by electric, and no supplies. So he crammed a bunch of water and supplies in his car and drove to Enid to take these to his client. That, you guys, is what I call great community banking. Please welcome our new member, Darren Walker.
I'd like to introduce Kenny Ward. He joins our club under the classification of contractors and restoration. He is an OU grad, and he is the marketing representative of Service Master. Kenny and his wife Shannon have 3 children.
Welcome, Darren, and welcome, Kenny. And their new member orientation was conducted by Jake Dollarhigh. Thank you, Jake. Project announcements. We have Tom Campbell with a club grant presentation. Please come forward. And Becky Collins with Tulsa Global Alliance.
It is my pleasure today to present Tulsa Global Alliance with a gift of $1,700. And representing that organization today, we have Becky Collins, who's Executive Director. Tony Oliva and I had the opportunity to spend a couple hours in her office a couple of months ago, being impressed with all the activities that TGA is active in. And then after that, I had a chance to go to Kids World for the first time and I was even more impressed with that. So I've told Becky she has 2 minutes to summarize everything that Tony and I have heard in 2 hours. So congratulations.
I asked Tom not to act like we had captured them for 2 hours. They chose to stay there that long. But he did mention Kids World, and I know some of you probably had a chance to be there. That's our biannual event that we had last November, and we had 13,400 participants. We had 9,000 children come and over 7,300 children come on school field trips. So it's our chance to go global for the kids in our community. I do have a minute. I wanted to tell you a few other things about TGA. And I really enjoy being here. It's fun to be with other Oklahomans who are like-minded when it comes to the importance of thinking globally. Tulsa Global Alliance is very fortunate to be the recipient of this grant. We purchased 2 laptops and software with the money that will help keep our interns going. We're lucky to have interns to help us. They help work on the Kids World International Festival. They work on Sister City projects, U.S. State Department International Visitor Scheduling, and we also do international business seminars. We, including with Kids World, we have over 2,000 volunteers that we work with, and that takes a lot of scheduling. It takes a lot of intern work. TGA and the Rotary Club of Tulsa have very many things in common. The Tulsa community thinks of you as being people-focused. They think of you as having advancing international understanding, advancing international goodwill and peace. And TGA works much in the same way. There are several members of TGA that are also members of this Rotary, and that makes a lot of sense because of our common goal. We know that we have daily lives here in Tulsa, but Oklahomans are impacted globally. I think probably everyone in this room knows that, and you cause global impacts as well. For the past 36 years, TGA has all been about bridging cultures between Tulsans, Oklahomans, and the rest of the world. But you know, sometimes it's between Tulsans and Tulsans. I have the opportunity to sometimes go to the Education Service Center and work with the Diversity Committee. Did you know that there are 47 different languages represented in Tulsa Public Schools? So our Kids World International Festival has Tulsans and Oklahomans coming, and we have over 57 different organizations represented in almost 47 different cultures. So it's pretty exciting to see what TPS does and what you all do too. We have 8 sister cities. I don't know, I won't ask you all to name them all at this time, but we have people of all ages coming each year, going in between the sister cities, Tulsa and the sister cities. That first started in 1980 when Jim Inhofe and some others flew a bunch of airplanes down to San Luis Potosí, Mexico, and started that sister city partnership. We also work with the U.S. State Department. We have had visitors just last year that represented over 49 countries. Altogether, these visitors add an economic impact to Tulsa of around $800,000 a year, and that's about $2,500 per visitor. They do this through airfares, hotels, local transportation, food. What I still need to get a grasp on is how much money they spend here, because they spend a lot. If they go to here in San Francisco and Washington, D.C., guess where they're going to do their shopping? Here. Our prices are the best. So there's a lot of shopping that goes on from these visitors. Want to learn more? We have several things going on this spring. March the 25th, we have Toast the Travelers, open to anyone who wants to come, Boulder Girl. We'll introduce you to people from Japan. April the 8th, we have an international business seminar that we're co-producing with the Chamber, Regional Chamber of Tulsa. We are also co-producing with the University of Tulsa. It's about new opportunities for doing business in Europe. Did y'all hear that the governor and the mayor went to Europe last fall? It's about their trade mission. Also, on April the 25th, we have Savoring Sister Cities. It's open to anyone who wants to come. It's at the Greenwood Cultural Center. Do you like food from other countries? 8 different countries represented. We're even having a rock band from Tiberias, Israel. And last but definitely not least, if you are at all interested in hosting people in your home, we have a group of middle schoolers coming from Japan on March the 23rd. We still need host families till the 28th. So once again, thank you very much for doing what you do and helping us with the foundation grant so that we can do what we do. And I do want to thank Tom Campbell and Tony Clinda for inviting me here today. Thank you.
Now, Becky, please share with the club another important announcement about your upcoming 18th Annual Global Vision Awards and the organization that Tulsa Global Alliance is going to honor.
It is my great pleasure, and this is perhaps a better kept secret than Adrian Peterson, but I am very pleased to say that we have an annual event where we honor an organization and an individual each year for our Global Vision Award. And we have just received word that our organization recipient this year will be the Rotary Club of Tulsa. So I should be applauding you, but thank you for what you do in the area of health, environment, and student exchanges. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Next, Bob Funk, another club grant check presentation.
One of the best known and most respected nonprofits in the Tulsa area is the Tulsa Day Center for the Homeless. Since 1986, the Day Center has provided shelter and other services to the many homeless here in the Tulsa area. And I'm proud to representing the Tulsa Foundation, Tulsa Rotary Foundation Grants Committee to present $5,000 to the Tulsa Day Center for the Homeless. Sandra Lewis, their director, was last minute scratch this morning, but I'm honored to have Joanne Hoyle, a longtime friend and Sandra's assistant, to accept this check.
Thank you, Bob and Tom Campbell, for visiting the Day Center. And I was privileged to be in on that meeting the day that they came, and we got to show them around and tell them what the Day Center does. We are proud to receive this money from the Rotary, and it will be used for some very basic needs. Like last year in 2012, the Day Center housed 210 homeless folks, put them in permanent housing, and when they move on moving day, they each receive a housekeeping kit, which is just basics, very basic, 2 pots and pans, 2 place settings of dinnerware and basic cleaning utensils. And then the other very important gift we give them is a brand new bed. And this money will be used to buy 25 new beds, box springs, bed frames, that will be presented to them on their moving day and help them move into housing and make their little place a home. So it's a very basic need, but it's a very important need, and we thank you so very much for making it possible. We've already ordered 10 beds, 5 of them have been given away, and 5 more will be delivered this afternoon, as a matter of fact. So we appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Well, it's deadline time. Those of us on the Crescendo committee keep hearing them go whoosh as they go past. And that's kind of the way life is these days. If you're not aware, Crescendo Music Awards 15th annual presentation is next week. We've got ads running in the Tulsa World all this week. We started with $1,500 budget in 1999. This year our budget is about $85,000. We're giving away, well, no, not quite that much. Let's call it $70,000. We're giving away $50,000 this year in awards. Things start next week. And if you have not bought your tickets yet, everybody in the Crescendo Committee who has tickets with you, would you please stand up and wave your hand? Okay.
I got them all.
You got them all? You only got
Outside by the IVA table.
outside by the IVA table. Okay. So after you buy your IVA ticket with the change, would you come by and buy a Crescendo ticket? $25 for one, $100 for 5 tickets, or 6 or more gets you $15. You can buy 6 for less than 5. We'll do the math for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Corey. Next, our sergeant at arms,
President Tom, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm just swell. Sorry I had to miss last week. Day job got in the way. Last week. My apologies.
That's okay. We're glad you're here.
I sent out emails this week to 30 of you, my fellow Rotarians, representing 1,070 unique opportunities for you to give $1 for each year you've been a member or you had a wedding anniversary or whatnot. Let's get right into it. Because I've got so many, you responded fabulously, by the way. Thank you very much. Let's hold our applause to the very end. Tim Nall gave us $150 for his birthday, plus a nice premium for Crescendo. Where's Joseph? There he is. Nice premium for Joseph. Kathy Gorell gave us $115. She combined birthday, Rotary, and wedding anniversary. Thank you, Kathy. Karen Keith gave us $100 for her 9 years in Rotary, and that's also pledged to Crescendo. Yes, sir. Fred Pottharf gave us $100 for his 32 years in Rotary, and he prepaid his June birthday. I'm going to call foul on that. But thanks anyway, Fred. Appreciate that. George Hamilton gave us $100 for his birthday and a nice premium for Joseph and Crescendo Award. Daniel Ketchum gave us $100 for his 10 years in Rotary and a nice $10 or 10x premium from Daniel. Thank you, sir. Charlie Chinham, $85 for his birthday. Rod Sands gave us $67 for his birthday because he didn't want to disappoint me. Thanks, Rod. Jason George gave us $40 for his big 4-0. Thanks, Jason. Phil Lakin gave us some money this week. He gave us $20 for his 13 years in Rotary. You know, we have this thing where we have a commitment not to speak the name of his university, and we're going to keep that. Okay. We play him tomorrow in the Big 12 tournament. We play him tomorrow in the Big 12 tournament, and if they wear those golf and yellow uniforms,
Well, fluorescent, they should outlaw.
I'm going to find him again.
Yes, I think we should find him.
But Phil, thank you for your $20. And Cheryl Northmas, finally, she gave us $10 for her 5 years in the Rotary. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
That's just under $900 in the last 2 weeks to fund wonderful programs like we gave money to this week. Do I have time for one more? Or should I leave?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I didn't say which one.
Well, you know, I believe everything that Steve Turbo tells me. And Steve Turbo tells me that earned media is worth 7 times what you would pay for it in normal paid media if you were to buy the same size of ad in the newspaper or get the same number of seconds or on television. Well, is John Esposito here today? Espo, are you here?
Back here.
There he is. Did you know that Espo was in the Bassmasters Classic tournament the other day? Did you know that?
Yes.
He was actually a contestant in the tournament. Let's see that photo. There he is. There he is. That's Esposito. Well, he fished in the tournament, but what you can't see in that picture is too far away. He was actually dropping bombs to stun the fish, and that's how he actually won. But they disqualified him because he was bombing the fish. But you know what that would have cost you if you had bought that from the Tulsa World? That would have cost you almost $7,000 if you were just to pay for that half page on the front page of the Tulsa World. That's worth about $49 grand. You can see me after the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Our here today is our honorary member, Howard Barnett. Howard is president of OSU Tulsa and OSU Center for Health Sciences. He obtained his bachelor's degree from TU and his law degree from SMU. A lifelong Tulsan, he served as chief of staff for Governor Frank Keating. He also served as Oklahoma Secretary of State. He is the former chairman of the Tulsa Regional Chamber and past president of Leadership Oklahoma. Howard and his wife Billy are involved in many local and state charitable organizations, including the Tulsa Ballet, Salvation Army, Oklahoma Academy, Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, Philbrook Museum of Art, the Arts and Humanities Council, and Youth Services of Tulsa. He became an honorary member of our club in September of 2010. Please welcome, returning the day, Howard Barnett.
Thank you, Tom. A nice introduction. I hope I can do as well in my introduction. First of all, some of you have commented about my eye issue, and I told the group this morning, this is the third time I've introduced Tim today, so I'm getting pretty good at it. Because I told the group about 9:30 this morning that I had an eye operation, and I still haven't recovered sight in my left eye, so my eye, your brain doesn't like getting two opposing things out of the eyes, so it keeps wanting me to close my left eye. As I told the group this morning, if you think I'm winking at you, I'm really not, and that's particularly to the ladies here, the sexual harassment claims. And anyway, since Tim Delaney has brought his very diverse leadership experiences in law and government and in nonprofits to serve as the president and CEO of the National Council of Nonprofits, which is, he'll tell you more about, is a trusted resource and advocate for America's charitable nonprofits. I have the pleasure of serving as chairman of the board of the National Council of Nonprofits this year. And so, Tim, at some level, I'm your boss, so please do right by me. Appreciate that. A little bio. After graduating from Yale and earning joint degrees in law and public affairs from the University of Texas, Tim became a partner of a large law firm where he led the firm's government relations practice, during which time he helped prosecute the impeachment of a governor. Always fun. Later, as Arizona Solicitor General and then Chief Deputy Attorney General, Tim led the state to win several cases in the U.S. Supreme Court. In 2001, he founded the Center for Leadership, Ethics, and Public Service, championing ethical leadership and advancing civic engagement. As the head of the Council of Nonprofits, which serves as the hub of the nation's largest network of charitable nonprofits, Tim helps nonprofits identify emerging trends, engage in critical policy issues, share proven practices across state borders, and achieve greater impact in local communities across the country. Numerous organizations have formally recognized Tim's community and professional contributions. He received the Marvin Award for Leadership and Service and co-recipient of the Best Brief Award for Legal Writing in the U.S. Supreme Court from the National Association of Attorneys General, the Distinguished Leadership Award from the National Association of Community Leadership, the Alumnus of the Year from the LBJ School of Public Affairs, and he's been named as one of the top 50 nonprofit leaders by Nonprofit Times. Help me welcome Tim Delaney.
Thank you, Howard. I'm truly honored to be here because I get to come to Tulsa and to thank Tulsa for the tremendous leader that you all have helped form in Howard Barnett. Howard doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I just wanted to come here to his hometown and thank you all for helping to shape and mold this tremendous leader who had served as the board chair of the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. And in that role, he provided such strong leadership that he was nominated by the Oklahoma Center to serve on our board. He's not the State Association of Nonprofits executive director, but we reached out and we said, okay, if he's the best that Oklahoma has, then let's bring him on board and see what he can do. So he comes along and then he changes career paths and he becomes the university president. He's doing all these wonderful things for Oklahoma, but then he's doing these fabulous things for America as a member of our board of directors. He's ready to turn off, and we have a need for a very strong board member. We've been around for 25 years, and we've never had a non-state association executive as our board chair. But we saw the leadership that Howard provides, and we said, would you serve us? He had no reason to hang on. He could have said, no, I'm going to spend my time in Oklahoma. But here was a group of national leaders looking to him to say, Howard, would you serve as our board chair? Because we need you. We need your talent, your insights, your abilities. And so he is our first non-state association executive director who's serving as our board chair, and he's doing a tremendous job. And so I want to come here to Tulsa to thank you all for helping to form this great leader and help support this great leader and to share this great leader with the rest of America. So please join me in thanking you. Now you're probably wondering, well, what is this National Council of Nonprofits? Well, let me show you what America's nonprofits look like. This is America's nonprofit sector. Right here. We are subdivided into different silos. Here's the education nonprofit sector. Here's the subsector that deals with healthcare. Here's the subsector over here that's culture and arts. Down here's the environment and so on. We're in these separate silos. We're also siloed not only by subsector, but also by geography. So we have the nonprofits here in Oklahoma, and the nonprofits in Alaska, and the nonprofits in Massachusetts. And we're all in our separate silos doing our own separate things. And we cannot be very effective. We're fragmented. But what if we started uniting and sharing our information, and instead of reinventing the wheel all the time, we went out and shared that information so the nonprofits in Oklahoma, when they have an issue, a concern, they can flip around our National Council of Nonprofits network, which is the largest in the country, from coast to coast and border to border, more than 25,000 community-based nonprofits connect with each other. Marty Taylor, who is the president of the executive director of the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. Marty, would you stand for a second? I'm a Rotarian from Oklahoma City. Then Marty will reach out and she will then spread the word through our network, and the nonprofits in New York might respond, or those in Hawaii might respond, and we can flip that information around to solve community problems. Stop some of the assaults on nonprofits in terms of public policy, and they are significant, they are severe. And what we're trying to do at the National Council of Nonprofits is to focus on how some of those threats are coming up at the state level. When we look at what nonprofits historically have done is they've looked only at the federal issues. But the last 2 years, Congress has passed only 239 laws. About half of those were renaming post offices. So 239 laws by Congress. In that same 2-year period, state legislatures passed more than 69,000 bills. The action is here at the state level. That's what the National Council of Nonprofits realizes. And so we work through our state associations of nonprofits, such as the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, to help give them information and support. And at the same time, they feed information back up into us so that we then track trends and see what's happening, can share that information so that nonprofits can have a larger voice, because our voices are not being heard. One of the real threats, let's talk about the health care bill that came up a few years ago that some people are calling now Obamacare. That bill got started, and it was to bring health care to everybody in America. And so they designed the bill. They worked on the bill for a long time. And the administration and the House were working together. And the House was starting to pass this bill. And we had been up there as nonprofits saying, wait a minute, you can't do this. You cannot pass this bill and exclude 10% of the American workforce. We are 10% of the American workforce in the nonprofit sector, and you've excluded us. And so there was a closed caucus session over in the House. And one of our colleagues was able to raise the question for us within that closed caucus. Madam Speaker, why are nonprofits not included? The Speaker turned to the lead staff person and said, why are nonprofits not included? And the response from the staff member, well, Madam Speaker, nonprofits don't need health insurance. They're all volunteers. So we're 10% of the workforce. So we then had to go over to the Senate and get us inserted there so that we were then protected. And so that's the sort of problems we have. Although I've talked about what's happening at the state level is so important, let me share with you 2 federal hot ticket items that we all need to be paying attention to. The first of these is charitable giving incentive. There have been proposals to cap or limit how much you can deduct if you are giving charitable contributions. One of the presidential candidates was proposing in one of the debates that we would have a cap, and that we would impose a cap on how much people could deduct. Then the super committee met, and there was another proposal that we would cap all deductions on Schedule A to just 2% of adjusted gross income. I'll help you with the math real quickly. You have income of $100,000. So the most you can ever deduct for everything on Schedule A, your mortgage interest, your state and local taxes paid, your excess health care, Your other costs on Schedule A and also your charitable giving would be $2,000. Okay, so if you own a home and you're making a mortgage payment, your $2,000 is eaten up right there. Or if you pay any state or local taxes, your $2,000 is gone there. So all of these non-discretionary things are going to eat up your entire charitable giving incentive. So there will be zero incentive to give any more money. And so we've had this cap of 2%. And everyone was looking at this top 2%. Now there is a proposal by the administration to limit what the deduction would be. And they want to impose this limit, taking it from the 39 or 35% bracket down to 28%. And everyone's focused on the benefit to the donor, and everyone's looking at the donor. And one political party want to punish the wealthy, and another political party want to protect the wealthy. And everyone's looking at the wealthy and what the donors are doing. And so when I was testifying in front of Congress 2 weeks ago, I was pointing out, waving my hand, everyone's fixated over here on the donor. We need to be instead over here looking at the benefit in the community. Instead of arguing about 35% or 28%, let's focus on the 100% value of the gift to the community. Let's get the right focus where it needs to be. Partisans, quit squabbling about this. Look at the great community needs. So that's what we're trying to do, to focus. And we need to be galvanizing the nonprofit sector to protect the giving that can go into the communities so that organizations such as yours can receive deductions so that you can then gift it to others that are doing great work in the community. Because the community needs are so significant right now. The other challenge that we face at the federal level are the sequestration cuts. These sequestration cuts seem to be a good idea. We all know that the deficits are a problem. But the way they're doing it is insanity. They're saying 5% across the board. Now 5% across the board is on top of the trillion that they've already cut. But the 5%, when translated into the 7 months that those cuts have to be enacted, they're really at 9%. It's a little over 9% from every domestic line item except for Medicare, which is only 2% cut, and Medicaid and food stamps and pensions. But everything else is getting cut at the domestic level. So think of your own home. Think about taking 9% out of every line item in your personal budget. Think about your own business. You know, are you going to be taking 9% out of every line item in your organizational budget? Are you going to take 9% cut on what you then pay into the mortgage company, saying, oh, so sad, too bad, I'm only going to pay you 9%? You think the mortgage company is going to put up with that very long? Same thing with your gas bill or your utility bills or some of your other bills. Are you going to be able to just cut back to 9%? And yet that's what's happening with these arbitrary across-the-board decisions because they were too lazy and too divided as partisans to look and do the regular order that Congress is supposed to do. We need to be making sure that people are making informed decisions. Because the uninformed decision, the lazy approach of across-the-board cuts, are leading us to solutions such as this. We are taking away services as of March 1st for mental health services for 373,000 Americans. 373,000 people are not going to receive mental health treatments. Think about the tragedies that occurred in Connecticut and in Colorado and in Tucson, Arizona, where people had access to guns and didn't have the medical illness treatments, and we're taking away medical illness treatments. Or the 600,000 women and infant children who are now going to be losing their nutritional aid. Now, what did a 9-month-old child, an infant, do to deserve her country telling her, we're not going to feed you anymore? Now, that's what's happening with these arbitrary cuts. We need to be making informed decisions, not artificial, just sheer math decisions. We need to be speaking up. Because what's happening is the federal government and the state governments are abandoning their responsibilities to provide basic you all in your community and forcing you all as board members and nonprofit volunteers and funders and contributors to then be underwriting the withdrawal of all these services. Because the services are, as the dollars are being cut, the human needs are not being cut. It's just that the dollars are being cut. The human need continues, and as millions of people are going to be losing their jobs and being put on furlough, then the needs are going to be going up as opposed to down. So what can you do? Two things. I would encourage you to go to our website, a special website that we created to help inform people on what's going on. We prepared a new infographic in a way for nonprofits to see that there was an earthquake underneath the waters, underneath the oceans that occurred on March 1st when all these meat cleaver cuts went through. It's now law. It's now happening. And yet it's going to take 30 or so days for the furlough notices and the dismissal notices to go through, and it's gathering steam, and we now have a tsunami wave that is growing that's going to hit America by midsummer. And yes, we're not seeing longer lines at TSA right now. We're not seeing other things. We are seeing things such as yesterday in the Oklahoman, on the very first page, FAA plans to close control towers at 6 state airports. And you will have just enough traffic here in Tulsa that you survive the cuts in terms of the entire closing of the airport control towers. But you are going to be suffering other cuts. That means that the airports are going to be open fewer hours, both here and in Oklahoma City. So traffic will be stopped up a little bit more, not as much airline traffic, which means that prices are going to go up, which means that there's going to be all these ripple effects in multiple different ways, because informed decisions were not made, uninformed math, political, arbitrary, this is easy decisions were made. So go to givevoice.org and see how this can be hitting you as the tsunami is coming, and you can start bracing your organization more, whether you're a for-profit or a non-profit, because the ripples will also be hitting the for-profits. The other thing you can do is to galvanize your organizations. Those of you who are board members of nonprofits, please alert your nonprofits how they need to be bracing themselves and getting ready, and then lifting our collective voices. When we are out here in our own tiny silos, we get forgotten. When we can connect and get larger, we can be more powerful. Imagine now this is the Oklahoma nonprofit sector, and we have the nonprofits in Enid and in Norman and in Cherokee and in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa and in healthcare and in arts and in the environmental groups. We're all out there. How can they be more powerful? Well, they can operate in their own tiny silos, or they can join the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits and then become more powerful and more vibrant and accomplish a lot more. So please join the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. When you do, you also become a member of this national network, and you will then be brothers and sisters with nonprofits in Alaska, to Hawaii, to Maine, and to Florida, and all points in between. Together we can have a voice. We can lift our voices and talk about democracy, talk about meeting community needs together, because it's all about the community. You as Rotarians know it's about community service and meeting those local needs. We need to rally together to do that. And with that, I think I'm about out of time. Let me throw it open for some questions. Yes, ma'am.
Our government spending is out of control. Could you name one or maybe two areas where we could, the federal government could cut instead of sequester?
Let's look at the Pentagon. Let's look at the Pentagon, where the Pentagon and the generals and the admirals are coming together and they're saying, we don't need this fighter jet. We don't want this fighter jet. And Congress then overrides them and says, oh, but that's very important for my district and the political contributions that I receive. We want to have this fighter jet that the military doesn't want and the experts say they don't want, and so let's cut those. And I think that there are endless examples of that. Your own Senator Colbert has done a good job of coming up with various programs that are suspect and that we could be looking at that make no sense. And so let's go in and cut those where we recognize that it's waste and get rid of those. Let's get rid of the bridges to nowhere that still continue to exist and cut those as opposed to cutting programs for infants. Let's make informed decisions. Another question? All right, seeing none, for those who, again, are interested, please go to www.giveways.org, and please, again, the greatest threats are happening at the state level. You need to be galvanizing as board members and as leaders of the community to help nonprofits survive this economic storm that they've been put under. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Tim, for speaking to our club today. Thank you for all that you're doing for nonprofits, both locally and nationally. And a book in your honor will be presented to our adopted school, City of Clinton Elementary. It's The Gingerbread Man. Now, this reminds me of Adrian Peterson. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the best running back in the NFL. Next week, we have the Oklahoma City Rotary Club here, and Oklahoma City Mayor Mick Cornett is our speaker. And remember, 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning for a tour of the Hardesty Art Center. The following week, Dr. Steve Turner, president of Northeastern State University. Remember your committee meetings. Have a great week. We're adjourned.
Big deal kind of stuff.